I'm great. We're live. Okay, so we're live on YouTube now.
Wait, did you make it work on your own?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I think that's mine.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can share what's on the screen.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I think someone should make an announcement. How would you do? Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Welcome everyone to the official meeting 2 for SJSU. This week we're gonna talk about we're gonna continue on what we talked about last week. Now that we've prepared everyone for project proposals, we actually did get quite a few project proposals, which is great to see. Yeah, we'll be sharing some of those as well as our own projects. We'll reiterate our own projects. So what's going to happen is we're going to first, after we go over some logistical stuff, we're going to give everyone a chance after they present their projects. For everyone who's not currently interested in proposing their own project, to talk to all of the project leads or the people who came up with project proposals to ask more questions that you might have for them before you decide on what project you decide to do. So yeah, first thing is a quick icebreaker, a new question that we have for everyone. I think, actually, could you try the next slide first? Let's see. Yeah. Okay, never mind. Before we do icebreakers, is there anyone new that just joined us for the first time? Whether, I mean, I know everyone here already, so anyone on the Zoom that's joined us for the first time? I know we've been getting some new members every week. No? Okay. It looks like, yeah, it looks like we have just people returners next. In that case, yeah, we could go straight into our icebreaker. So also, if like you're too shy, always feel free to just message us privately, and we'll like get back to you on it as well. So yeah, if you're new and you maybe too shy to share, then feel free to just message us privately. But the icebreaker question is there any new skill or hobby that you picked up, maybe during the pandemic or in general that you'd like to share? Oh, is there some in the chat?
Yeah, I'm
Okay. Great. I'll go ahead and get started then. So what I've been getting started recently picking up is latex. I've been looking at writing like papers, like fancier lab reports, and like probably for like my senior project. So I've it's kind of funny, but I've been using Overleaf, the online editor, and I've been trying to integrate it into an IDE now. So
It's pretty nice. Latex is very, very cool. I've started using it as well.
it makes the lab reports look a lot nicer. So even if you don't have that much good stuff to write, they'll look really impressed. So they'll just be like, oh wow, and they'll just give you the credit.
Way too ridiculously more neat than they're supposed to be for like a lab report.
So it's like you don't need as much good content. You don't need to spend as much time on it because it seems like you put so much effort in it, but in fact you didn't. Just use a template and just copy and paste it that you wrote, and it just looks really impressive.
And it's just like nice to look at.
Yeah. And to be honest, with Overleaf now, you just go to Overleaf and like it's actually so much easier than it used to be. So if you're interested in picking it up yourself, I highly recommend it. To be honest, it makes me actually enjoy writing the lab reports more. Just because it makes it look a lot more professional. I'm like, wow, this looks like it makes me look very professional. So it actually kind of motivates me to write now. Anyone else want to share any like hobbies that they're doing now or in general?
During the pandemic, I got more into
Doesn't
gaming.
have to be a pandemic also. It could just be like a hobby that you're currently doing that you'd like to share.
Since the pandemic, I've gotten more into gaming.
Nice.
And I'm currently building my own PC, so I got really into that.
That's cool.
I also,
What components are you looking at?
right now, I just need a cooler for my CPU because I won the Newegg Shuffle and have a 3070 now.
What graphics card? Oh, 3070, very nice. Wow, that's really cool.
And I also decided to really learn about machine learning and read a couple books on natural language processing and just machine learning from beginning to end.
Python notebooks or full-on books?
Single books.
Yes. Wow, that's really impressive. Very ambitious numbers. What games have you been playing? What are some of the ones you've been starting to play?
Mainly just Valorant and Minecraft.
Okay. Right. Nice. Nice. Yeah, I know Minecraft's been like picking up popularity actually recently, so a lot. So it's really cool. MineRL, that's a project that you can consider. There's like a always a pitch to try to get a machine learning thing involved. If you're interested in doing something that's really cutting edge, there's like a project that I think some of us looked at in the past called MineRL, which is basically I think you use reinforcement learning to get the actor, the character that you play or the whatever controllable character that you're controlling, basically to try to find a diamond, if that's right, right?
Yeah.
And like you don't, I guess it learns all by itself, right? There's no like training data.
It learns from demonstrations partially and from interacting with the environment.
Yes, so it's like an actual competition. So it's like if you do really well, it's very, very ambitious though, from what I remember, like when Vlad looked into it. Yeah, so that's something that it looks like you're really motivated because you're into books and then you're into Minecraft. I think that's like a perfect blend if that's something you might be interested in. So yeah, thank you.
I was interested in doing something like that, but direct injection is probably easier.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Let me see. So Duolingo, wow, Duolingo from Felix. Is there any, what language have you been trying to learn? Okay, well maybe he's not around, but actually I've also been picking up second language as well. I've been trying to, I'm Korean, but I used to go to Korean school to try to make sure my Korean's good, but I complained so much to my parents that they got me to quit, and now I regret it because I kind of lost some of that Korean speaking skills. And I'm trying to pick up Spanish actually. I love one of my hobbies is actually salsa dancing, so I really love Latin music. So Spanish is, I've been trying to pick up Spanish on my own as well. Which is funny because I should probably learn Korean before I learn Spanish, but I think my Spanish is getting better than my Korean. So, yeah. Oh, wow, French, Spanish, wow, Latin. I've always wanted to learn Latin. That's cool. Yeah, Latin is really, really cool. I want it to be like one of those things where it's like, you have those like imaginations of if you know Latin, you get to know like the password or something, all that cool stuff. It's a cool part of being like a secret dead language, to be perfectly frank. That's really cool. 3 languages at the same time. Awesome. Anyone else? Wow, that's really cool. Yeah, maybe I should look into that. Wow. Awesome. Anyone else want to share? I know like we already kind of talked about hobbies in our first week, so. Wow, classic week. Really cool. Okay, yeah, I think we could go ahead and continue that in general. Yeah, so announcements. We're again breaking the meeting into 2 parts, but this time it's not really about like beginners stage for the second part. It's more about just like kind of clear organizers. We're going to talk about projects and questions, and then secondly we're going to talk about like the first project meeting after people go around and kind of ask questions that they want to ask for the different project leads. The important thing is another very important thing is we finally got the paperwork sorted out. So it is happening this Sunday. We're going to the football game. We have actually, I think, 13 people signed up, and we need to actually rearrange it for this one. You can come if you want. Okay. Yeah. So can you go to that? So this look? Yeah. So we actually have a ton of people signed up, which is great. We have 13 people, and like if all 13 people show up, like we'll be able to get our own booth stand, which will be really awesome. So we'll basically like we won't be separated. We'll all be together as a group. And I think when people looking for snaps, we can basically all work together, and like I think that'll be a really cool team building experience, or like just for us to get to connect with each other. When like things get tough, when a bunch of customers come in, and we'll be yelling at each other to like get this and get that and work together and kind of figuring stuff out. I think it'll be really fun. And I think I think 13 should be enough. But if anyone else wants to join, feel free to let us know, and we'll add you to the list. I believe they keep telling me like different things, but they told me before that a typical shift is like around 8 hours. But I don't think that's the case, because they said now for this particular game that the shift starts at 8:30 p.m. at night. So another thing is, if you have any questions about carpooling, like if you can't get to the 49ers stadium, it's at I believe it's at SF. We'll have to arrange carpooling for you. So if you need carpooling, or we'll have to sort that out. So message me on Discord, or just actually let us know on chat right now if you need any help with that, because we do have quite a bit of people signed up, but I'm not sure about everyone's situation. Like for example, I know Jihak and who was the other one? Was it Jihak and who was the other one? Rohit? I know Jihak and someone else was gonna go together, but I don't know about everyone else's situation.
Yeah, it's me, Rohit.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, did someone say something?
Yeah, it was me, Rohit. I'm gonna be joining with Geog.
Okay, great. Does anyone else need help with carpooling, or anyone else want to join actually with us this Sunday?
Question.
Yeah.
If we drive, where do we park?
Actually, yeah, that's a good question. I'm assuming we get parking at the stadium, because we're like actually working there.
Yeah.
So I'll get more details today or tomorrow. Again, I'm like really kind of a little annoyed that I'm not getting any information. I kept asking for it, but like I don't know, like it's just been really vague in general. But we do know that it starts at 8:30, so we'd recommend you arrive around 8 o'clock, and presumably they'll be parking there on the spot for volunteers. Like there's no way that I think if you're going to volunteer and helping out, because they're essentially paying us, the organization, for your help. That you have to find your own parking. I'm assuming there's going to be parking for you. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Oh, Sunnyvale, I think.
Around here, they moved it.
It's in Santa Clara.
So it's not too far then. Santa Clara. Yeah, just Google 49er Stadium, and then cool, nice, another volunteer, Priyanka. I don't have it. Okay, good. Let me add her to this. So yeah, that's great. I'm actually really happy with the number of volunteers we have. I feel like it's a pretty big portion.
I have another question.
Yeah.
The game starts at 1:30. You said that
Yeah,
we're supposed to get there at 8:30.
Another thing I don't understand. Like, yeah, that's why like I feel like I don't know if she's giving me reliable information. Okay, maybe. Yeah,
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Which hopefully means that's a good thing, because that probably means like maybe our shift is shorter. Like, because before she said 8 hours, so I'm assuming that we're not going to be there from like 8:30 to like 3-4 o'clock in the morning. I really doubt that. So I'll get more clarification again on it. But yeah, I think that sounds about right. Thank you everyone for volunteering again. And if you need any help on carpooling, let us know. We have plenty of rides, I think, among the officers. And finally, there's another thing we wanted to talk about. Is there any list of companies that members are interested to bring to like us for a meeting? Because the Career Center, SOPP, one of the things that they talked about was they wanted to get our input on what kind of companies we want to come visit, and basically we'll email them, and they'll use their connections and network to reach out to them to see if they can get a connect. Because it's a lot more official coming from a place like the Career Center compared to like a regular student. So I think that does anyone have any companies in particular that they're interested in? No, nothing immediately pops to mind. Yeah. Spotify and mobile. Sleep number. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to write that down. Okay, yeah, if no one has any immediate ideas, but if you come up with something later, feel free to, sleep number, right? Sleep is a number, like any other idea. And then, if anyone else has any other company that they have in mind, but I mean, or like they're interested in looking it up for, after this meeting, feel free to all get a message me on Discord, and then we'll let the Career Center know. We already did like typical ones, I think, like Google, like OpenAI, DeepMind, like a lot of the typical machine learning, and like some startups. I think like Tesla was there. So, yeah. I think we'll probably share that in another meeting to see like what companies they reached out to and what companies we have a connection with, or they have a connection with. So again, this is just another reminder for people who missed last week's meeting. We need your information so that we can put you on a website. Basically, if you're an official project member, you kind of want to show that off by posting your information on a website. I actually kind of regret doing the Gmail method. What I think is a better idea is to just post. I'm gonna share the Google Sheet of the information that I created.
The new method, so Edward is going to share a Google Sheet. So instead of sending an email, you would.
If you already sent the email, don't worry about it. Like we will, I'll take that information manually. But if you haven't yet, please, I'll post it on general right now. If anyone who's a current project member, so I just posted it. Could you open that Google Sheet, please? So basically, actually, first you want to go to sheet 2. Actually, I should make it a separate Google Sheet. So like anything that says need, that means I don't have it yet. But again, if you already sent it to me through email, I'll update that manually. I don't think actually, I think this is pretty updated actually. So if you don't have, if the information says need, but you already emailed it to me, then don't worry about it. But again, if you can, it would make my life a lot easier if you could just update this information yourself. You could send the profile picture through Discord. Some of them already sent it to me, so I'll post that on the website. And this is going to be helpful because a lot of people actually do. Check our website. Like not just like a lot of members who found out about us through the website, but like companies. So if you like post your LinkedIn and GitHub, that'll actually look really good. Right? It'll be really impressive because we do actually get quite a lot of traffic, which I was surprised to see. So yeah, highly recommend you to fill this out so that we can post it. And it looks good for our club too to show like we've been updating it recently. And it's kind of not been updated since I think like a semester or 2 now. So I think it'll be, especially because of all the pandemic Discord stuff or pandemic virtual stuff. So this is going to be a new fresh start for the website again. But whenever we try to show like our club to like companies, all we do is like we show our website and they're usually really impressed like the fact that we have our own website and like it's like really well designed. So yeah, me and Jacob Jacob who's the webmaster will probably update the website. Okay. Yeah. I think we can continue. But please, update this now or whenever you can. We really would appreciate it. Okay, so that's the agenda. So yeah, that's the agenda, and then the introductions. Project proposals and overview. So yeah, we have 2 current project proposals. If you came up with your own, when you don't have any slides ready, just let us know in the chat that you want to present. Oh yeah, who do we send the photo to? Send it to me on Discord, Edward L. Edward L. Just send that to me. Yeah, the Google Sheet is available on general. Yeah, I guess I should have checked on chat. So for people who want to send the photos, send it to me, Edward L, on the current Discord. One more thing I actually highly recommend everyone to do is set up the notification so that if you get a Discord notification, it shows up in your banner or like your like all three notifications. You should make it, especially because we're gonna start collaborating a lot more heavily on Discord. And I know it's annoying because you get spammed a lot. But what you can do is you can disable all the notifications for everything else and but just keep ours active. So that's kind of what I do. Honestly, like I have like I'm in like the IEEE, which has like every single electrical engineering course in school. So I just disable that entire notification. But I still have it. I still have my notification so that all the communications that I receive from SJSU related stuff I get. If I don't set that up, like it takes way too long to respond. So please set it up if on iOS or Android so that you get that notification pop up whenever you get a. I think you can also edit it so that it happens only specifically if you get a mention as well. But I highly recommend you to do that. Again, mute everything else but us if you have to, if you get spammed. I think we really need to do that, especially once you join a project team and you're like going to be assigned tasks. You really need to be on top of that communication. Great, thank you, Felix. Yeah, please do. Yeah, just because we really want to make sure to do that. Is there anyone else who had a project proposal outside of these two that want to propose? You don't have to have slides if you aren't prepared. You could just, I guess, share your idea. We did ask for slides, but we don't want that to stop you from giving your project proposal. Okay, we can wait to see if anyone has any. But for now, we'll start off with Dimitri. I will. Yeah. If you want to come up here and then sorry, you can just do this.
There's notes.
Wow, nice.
Just to make sure that they cover everything.
So how do I?
So the mouse.
You need to look at the mouse here.
Yep.
Where's that try?
How to move forward?
Click or
And backward? I see.
Hi everyone.
My name is Mitchell, and I just joined this club a few weeks ago, and I want to pre-frame this whole presentation by saying that I've got into longevity and machine learning months ago. Then I went over some math prerequisite knowledge, and only 2 weeks ago I really take a deep dive into machine learning. So I have very little actual experience with machine learning and longevity especially, but that's just my idea, and I would love someone more experienced or not to join and maybe collaborate. So let's start. Let's start with the big question: why longevity? Why applying machine learning and longevity research? And I would say that, and I think most of you would agree with me that human life is the most important thing we have. And right now, in this modern day and age, we have rapidly aging society, and you can see on the slide the leading causes of death is for 2016, and actually 3/4 of all deaths are for people who are over age of 65 years old, and many of them like cardiovascular disease, cancer, diabetes, and dementia, and other dementia-related diseases like Alzheimer's. All of them are caused actually by aging. And to drive this point home, I would like to show you this slide where it says that preventive geoscience-based measures to treat aging at the organism level would provide a more substantial benefit then reactive therapeutic approach is targeted at a single disease or organ, since those do not contribute to a significant improvement in healthcare. So what basically this quote is saying is that when you target like cancer or some mental disease, you're only trying to cure one specific disease. And when you're very old, it doesn't really matter if you can cure cancer, because in a few years you're going to get some heart attack or some other stuff. And the underlying cause of this, of most of the diseases that I showed here, are because of the basically deterioration of the human tissues and organs. And here is another figure that shows the demographic pyramid in the United States in 1960 and projected pyramid for 2060. And we can see here clearly that we're a rapidly aging society, and with time, this issue is going to be more and more important for us. And I also want to mention that this quote is taken from a paper called Artificial Intelligence in Longevity Medicine. It's published in a journal called Nature Aging. It's very respectable, high stringency journal, and lots of data in this presentation is taken from that paper. So let's move on. And one specific example is this quote is also from the paper, is that it says that it has been estimated that the complete elimination of a single fatal disease, such as cancer, in the USA would merely lead to a 2.3-year population increase in life expectancy, since the majority of overall mortality is due to age-related diseases. So just to make sure, to really impact the median age of our society, it's crucial to focus on underlying causes of all those diseases that I showed before, not on specific diseases like cancer or Alzheimer's. So let's start with the drug discovery approach to this problem. It's very complicated and complex. I just want to mention it for completion, and because it's really interesting to see where the research is going. So we can see here that this is like cycle of drug discovery, and there are many different stages in it. And basically what this diagram is saying is that we can use deep generative reinforcement learning, which I'll kind of try to explain later, almost in every stage of drug discovery, starting from clinical trials to even like medical data from hospitals that they have on different patients. And if you apply this algorithm on many stages of drug discovery, you can get much better approach, much better results that the current approach is giving us. And deep generative reinforcement learning is generative part of it is general adversarial networks, and they're used to basically anonymize data, and it's used quite often in biology-related projects because you want to make your project more private and don't disclose any unwanted data. And you use general adversarial networks, as I said, and then you use deep reinforcement learning on that. And in the end, you want new data coming into your model, and you want your results to adapt to all the data that is specific to a particular person. But as I said before, this is just for, I'm talking about this just for completion. And what I would love to work on is aging clocks, or in this particular example, it's deep aging clock. And here we can see that here is our deep neural network, and as an input we have this multi-modal data that is very diverse, and we input this multi-modal data into our deep neural network, and what we want to get is age and health status. And why it is important to longevity research, you may ask, is because when you are trying to develop new drugs, you would really want to have a specific measure. You want to figure out how efficient particular drugs are. And developing aging clocks is very important to compare different drugs and how they affect different populations. So this actually is also quite complicated project because we have this multimodal data that is hard to acquire for a specific person. So let's talk about even more specific example of this, which is based on this type of data. It says methylome, and I will go over how this works in this next slide. So what I'm going to talk right now is a special aging clock that is called methylation clock, and it's actually really simple. We can start with biological and genomics basics. Here we have our DNA, and we can see and treat DNA basically as a code. Actually, like it's a manual, and it's this code that is executed in every cell of our body. However, since every cell of our body has the same DNA, we want to execute different parts of that code, called like genes. You want to execute different genes depending on what type of cell it is. So, for example, you want your brain cell to be different from your skin cell, although they all have the same DNA. And how you do this is with the use of epigenome. And basically what it does is here you see just this code, DNA, and epigenome just says that I want to execute this part of this code and not the other part. So this is how from this big data, from this genome code, you make different different types of cells. And in particular, one of the most studied, I would say, approaches and how it is done in our human body is using this, you can see chemical tags, and they are usually called methylation groups. So you have this code, DNA, and you attach this methylation group, which is just some chemical compound, to this part of DNA, and the body understands, and cell in particular, they understand that this part of DNA we want to execute equals, and this part we don't want to execute. So also what was discovered in longevity research is that based on these chemical tags and methylation, you can predict very good how old is a particular person biologically. So not chronologically, but actually how old he is in terms of his capabilities, so to speak. And what happens is when you age, this chemical tags and methylation groups, they all get confused and rusty. And in the end, cells in your brain, they execute different parts of the code, so they may behave as skin cells, for example, and vice versa. So actually, when you age, those cells in your brain, they like half skin cells, half brain cells. And this is not good, of course. So now I want to talk about the specific implementation of this methylation plot. Most of the following slides, and this slide is taken from another study. It's called Human Age Prediction based on DNA methylation using a gradient boosting regressor. And I would love to go over the study and then add like my own observations. I would love to how I would love to implement it and maybe modify it. So let's start with the data set. That's different data sets that they used in their study. And basically what this data sets contain is those this DNA data and specific methylation value for a particular gene. So we have different genes here, and every part of DNA has a particular methylation value attached to it. And in this data, these are the data sets, and here's the data itself. There's we can see our samples are like people that were in the data, and there here we can see different methylation values for every part of the DNA. So here you see SG and some numbers, and this whole column represents methylation value for every person, and the same goes for this column and so on. And in the end, we have features like sex and age in order to predict more accurately. So what they did in that study is basically they give me a second. Just to mention one more time those data sets that were before. Here we have the data sets, and overall there are 25 of them, and we have different data sets for healthy people and for those with different illnesses. And we want to separate those data sets because if you're ill, then your methylation values are higher in particular genes, and therefore your predicted biological age is going to differ from your actual age. But in healthy individuals, your chronological age and your biological age is roughly similar. So that's how, like, so therefore we use age as the ground truth for our model. So 25 data sets, and they were separated into healthy people and people with some illnesses. And after that, they had to choose different genes that were important and correlated with age. Because those data sets, they had many different genes, and some of them are related to your biological age, and some of them are not related. So what they did is they basically having all of those data points, they clean the data, and after that they trying to figure out how each of those genes is correlated with a particular person's age. So if there's a strong correlation between a particular gene and its methylation value and age of that person, then it means that this gene can actually predict your biological age. And based on those correlation values, they selected these 5 genes. You see CG and some numbers. Those are the names of the genes themselves. And there's 6 genes, actually. And they selected those genes that obviously had the highest or the lowest correlation values. So close to 1 or -1. And with those 6 genes selected, we have this table that I showed before. So every person here represented with this anonymized set of characters, and we have methylation values for every gene that we're interested in, and age and sex. So given this data, they also applied principal components analysis and took the first 2 principal components to basically make the data more to like remove all the outliers and make the data set cleaner. And after that, they also like standardized data, scaled it, and did all this cleaning procedures and pre-processing procedures. And then they wanted to figure out what is the best regression model or traditional machine learning algorithm to apply, because usually in this type of research, linear models are preferred because people who do this research, they are not well versed in computer science, and they want to apply the simple model like linear regression, and more complicated models are not used. And in this particular study, they used, as you can see in the top left, it's gradient boosting regressor, then it's Bayesian reach, then it's multiple linear regression, and it's a support vector regressor. So all these models are used to train on the healthy data that I showed before in this slide. They were used, and here we can see the results of this is results on the validation set for healthy data that were not used in training. And here we can see that gradient booster regressor was the best among all of these models. It has the median average deviation of around 4, and its root mean squared error is a little bit higher than 6. And compared to all these other models, it's performed much better on the healthy data set. But we're also concerned about data set that contain people who are not healthy, who have some illness. And as we expect median average deviation is higher in this example because people who are ill, their chronological age and their biological age is not the same. There's more difference between these two values. And here we can see that for the GPR regression, we have mean average deviation of 7 and root mean squared error of around 10, if I get it correctly. And this is expected, as I said before, because chronological age and biological age in people who have some illnesses, it's not the same, it's different. And here are the overall results of the study. Here we can see some statistical data, and we can see that R squared, which is basically like a correlation, it's the best for gradient boosting regressor. And this is data for healthy data sets, as you can see there. And for, I actually don't have the same pictures for people with illnesses, but it's similar data, but correlation is much lower for the reasons that I mentioned before. So now I want to step back a little and tell you actually what I would love to do with this paper, and like my final goals is like, first of all, since again, as I mentioned before, I don't have that much experience in machine learning or longevity research, I would love to start the project by emulating this paper and the results that were there, and to maybe try to improve this paper. And to do that, I would love to, like, first of all, I'd love to replicate the paper itself, and then I would want to add different types of data and expand the data set itself. So we have in that paper, they had only 5,000, I believe, data samples, and we can expand it to much more. I actually like looked up some biological public data sets, and I was able to find like hundreds of thousands of data samples. Of course, it's data is much more. It requires more cleaning. You have to process it better, but in the end, it's possible to get the bigger data sets. And having this bigger data set, we actually can apply more complicated algorithms like deep neural network, because we have more data. And maybe it's gonna predict the age better than the model that I showed before in that research paper. That's one of the ways to improve the results of this paper, and also another limitation of that research paper was that they used only blood samples. So we have this methylation values for different genes in your blood cells, and maybe like in your skin cells and your salvia and so on. And those values, they differ depending on the type of tissue that you're sampling. And if you also include like salvia cells in that data set, we can have more different data samples and more modality to your data set. And in this way, it can be maybe in this way, it may predict even better than the one that I showed before. So here's a quick slide on what other platforms I would think be useful in this project. And I think for the first few weeks of the project, it's not going to require some of these platforms because we're probably not going to use any like deep neural networks and using primarily scikit-learn library. But then as we're going to expand the data set itself and make our model more complicated for collaboration, it's better to use GitHub, I think, and to make the model more portable and independent of the environment, it's better to use Docker. Although I never used Docker before, but I don't think it's gonna take and eventually, if data set is going to be really big and model really complex, it makes more sense to deploy it in the cloud and use something like Amazon SageMaker. And like the final result, as I like imagine, as I would love to see, is to have some web, like you have basically to have a website where you can input data that you have about yourself, maybe not all of the not all of these parameters, but only those that you have, and based on those imputed values, the website is gonna predict your biological age, and maybe using different types of models. And in this way, you can just interactively figure out your biological age depending on the results that you have about yourself. Yeah, so that's probably it. Thank you for your attention. My Discord name is Dmitry, and if you want to contact me through email, it's mdmittriy@gmail.com. I think that's
Awesome. Thank you. Wow, that's amazing. I have a few questions. So,
Okay,
so the program language is Python?
yeah, programming.
Do you know what packages and libraries you have like outside of scikit-learn?
If you mean more like ground level packages, I would love to use PyTorch instead of TensorFlow, since I like many like reputable sources they're switching to PyTorch, and they prefer more over the TensorFlow because it's much easier to learn and implement. As I said, I have very little experience with all this, but I would love to work with the PyTorch as the ground level framework. No, but like again, if someone who's gonna join me would prefer working with TensorFlow, and there's some good arguments for that, I can like I'm flexible on this side.
And like, what's the level of time commitment you're expecting from like a number of machines? Yeah, any general idea?
Like
Per week, like per week, how many
Per
hours?
week? I just like I don't really have a particular like answer to this question, like 10 or 15 or 5 hours. I would say that I'm looking for motivation, if you're just like literally genuinely interested in this project and you're this is really important and you would love to work on it, that's what I'm like looking for. And if you're really motivated, you can work like 50 hours one week and 0 hours next week. So if you're just genuinely interested in it, that's what like.
What about level of experience?
Any level of experience. I have very little.
Yeah, I mean everyone here did the top project, so
yeah,
there
it's
should
like
be some level of experience.
yeah, and as I said, I have very little experience. I would love to learn from someone who's gonna join the team. Maybe someone is so interested in this project that he's gonna lead it instead of me because I have very little experience. And again, I'm looking for someone who's motivated and also wanted to say that. Yeah, basically, if you have motivation, then that's all what is required.
Thank you.
Yeah, maybe.
Does anyone else have any questions?
Yep. Actually, like I went through all this biological, all this data that is related to biology, but I had zero biology like formal education just a few weeks ago. Actually, well, like almost all of the things that I described about biology, they are pretty much all the things that you have to know in order to do this. So how this, the basics of how this plot works, and I'm gonna, and you as a team member, you're gonna spend more time in preparing the data, preparing the model, fine-tuning the hyperparameters and stuff like that. Because the problem and data sets, in some sense, they are defined more or less rigidly. But what is required in this field is better ways to analyze this data computationally, because this areas, as you can see, is deeply grounded in biology, and there's lots of research papers that are really concise and clear on how this stuff works, and it takes like only a few hours to figure out how like the ground level of all of this. But this field lacks machine learning experience, and that's what we're going to focus on, because as I said, it's not really implemented in this field. And also, as I said before, many research papers, other than the one that I showed before, they just using plain linear regression model. That's probably not going to describe.
Dimitri ஒருத்தன் கேட்டான்னு சொன்னான்ல அந்த ப்ராஜெக்ட் எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்ணிருக்காங்க.
Yeah, thank you very much. How recent was that research paper that you cited? Is it like state of the art? How old was it?
I cited 2 research papers, but the second one that was like the first one, it's 2021. It's very recent.
Oh wow, okay, so state of the art. Okay.
Yeah, but that's the first one. That's this one.
Okay. Oh, okay. So not the one that you're.
Not the, yeah, and the one that started went into more details. It is 2019, I believe.
Okay, that's still pretty recent.
Yeah, it's not like 2010 or 2015. It's like a few years, I believe. Yeah, and of course I could like there are many current developments in this field, but I chose that one because it was like simpler to present it and to dive into it. But there are actually right now, and since I believe 2013 and 2014, there's lots of research into this, and especially recently, there are more and more machine learning and deep learning that is applied into this.
Yeah. No, totally. Like I think your question, I think that's actually the trend. Like a lot more, like some of the biggest names in the machine learning industry are taking to biology, just because there's so much application there that that's translatable. So yeah, that's a great point. And yeah, what a great proposal. I think this is basically one of our most ambitious projects that we've had. So that's great to see. It's probably like just below like an actual research.
Yeah.
So
And yeah, I understand that it may sound very ambitious, but this is what you see here. It's like the final stage of this project that can be like in a half a year. But right now, as I said, I would love to focus on more basic stuff and basically emulating that research paper and then going from that to more complex.
Do you expect this to be a multi-semester project or?
I think it's one semester.
Okay, one semester.
I have really like I have I think enough time and passion for all this project to really commit lots of my energy to this project. So like as I said, I just started doing all of this machine learning and longevity just a few weeks ago, and I think it's gonna be only a semester project. But no, we will see. Maybe it's
Yeah,
gonna.
I mean, we also like seem like at different stages too. So maybe like say one semester.
Yeah, maybe something like that. I would love just to figure out, is there anyone else who's also interested in this? Maybe to hear out their proposals and their suggestions, and we'll go from there. Because like right now I have a very vague idea of what I would love to accomplish, and it's very flexible.
Yeah, thank you. Well, so just to clarify, we are going to set some time after for like the phase 2 of our meeting to have individuals who are interested in joining project teams, not opposing, to just go through the different channels, even the people virtually, to talk to the project leads or proposers if they have any more questions or anything specific they want to ask. So we'll set some time for that separately. Does anyone have any specific questions you want to ask? Right now?
You do have access to the data set, right? Yeah, those the first data set and the second research paper that I showed was 5,000 samples, and it was publicly available. And also I mentioned that there's much more data. It's like tens or even hundreds of thousands of those methylation values of gene expressions. There are like much more genes in that data set, so it's more than we need actually. So there's more data processing that is required, but it is expected in the data science field. And basically, like as I said, all what is required is just to process the data, and this data is publicly available. Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yep.
So yeah, next is I think Luck.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Luke, and my proposal would be on music clustering. If you guys like music and like it a lot, you've probably run into some of the same problems that I did. And as you can see here, this is one of my playlists. It's all EDM. However, as we can see here, there's over 500 songs in it. And one of the problems of having a playlist that's too big and of the same genre is maybe all of the music that you listen to might not fit one mood, or maybe some of the music that you've added months or years ago, you don't really want to listen to it anymore. So you hit skip a lot and you spend more time actually trying to find a song to listen to rather than listening to the actual music. Maybe you gave up on trying to split up your music into separate genres and just do monthly playlists like I did. Over here, you can see I started that in December, and we can even see here where I curated one of the playlists because I had too much music in that one also. I tried curating it so that I had only 25 songs, and those were songs that were my top played of that month. However, going through each and every playlist at the end of every month, that can take very long and it's time consuming. So yeah, I got tired of that too. And if you're tired of all this like I am, maybe on the okay. Yeah, I got tired of that too, so I ended up reverting back to what I was doing originally, but except for a combination of the both, where I just have a lot of different genres of music, and it's all in one giant playlist that I'm currently listening to. So why music clustering? It's to address problems like this where you have playlists that are too large and uncurated. There's multiple genres of music in it. And even if it is one genre, there might be multiple subgenres that can be identified. So we can use clustering to help sort out that music and split up that one giant playlist into separate playlists that you can listen to depending on what mood, or maybe just identify the different genres of music that you've added into that playlist. And through this project, we can probably improve recommendation systems by, instead of identifying separate users that listen to the same music as you and picking out songs that they listen to that you don't and recommending those to you, it'll instead recommend similar sounding songs if we incorporate this idea with a big database using Spotify. However, I think the reason why Spotify does it by users is because just trying to train a model on all of that data is it takes up way too much memory. So that's why they use the other one. And maybe through classifying different songs in your playlist, it can also recommend you different artists that you might like. The mouse might be on like the wrong side, so you might want to scroll to the right. On the right. Well, you can just arrow to this one. So oops. Yeah. So the biggest flaw of Spotify's current algorithm, since they do recommend songs by users and what songs they listen to, is that newer songs or unpopular songs that you might like aren't recommended to you because those users obviously aren't listening to them if it's not a popular song. This is some of the methodology behind my current idea, and what I'd like to do with my project is that other users like me who have playlists that are too large, maybe we can, instead of using Spotify's whole database, we can just take their playlist and cluster it so that we can split up their playlist and not incorporate any recommendation systems as of right now. But through that, we will use Spotify's API, so Spotify for developers, and also Python has a tool called Spotify. We can probably use that to access the API and use some of the tools that are already developed for this. Some possible algorithms to help classify and cluster these songs are k-means clustering. That's to cluster which songs are similar sounding to each other, and after that, we might want to use neural networks to identify what kind of genre those songs belong to. And to combine everything, we'll be using ensemble learning and possibly even more algorithms if it comes down to it. But what's different about mine? For my project, I'd like to do a deeper dive into broad genres such as EDM. There's many different subgenres, and all the current algorithms right now, they identify maybe broader genres like comparing something like classical music to jazz or like pop music, country music. All the algorithms are currently able to do that. But if you were to take a dive into like jazz and you wanted smooth jazz or like swing jazz, something like that, it might be a little bit harder to find something like that right now. And for my project, I listen to a lot of EDM, so that's something that I will be focused on for my data set. But if anyone else has other genres of music that they're interested in, we can also test it on that. And to evaluate our accuracy of the model, we can sample playlists from existing Spotify genre playlists and compile that into one giant one and see how our model does on that. That is with labeled data, but if we were to just test it on like someone's playlist or like my playlist, we might use other methods for unsupervised learning. And although I didn't really understand or wasn't able to comprehend it enough to explain to you guys like the different unsupervised evaluation methods, one of them that I did understand was the silhouette score. So what that does is, as you can see in the diagram, it calculates on a scale from -1 to 1, and the denser a cluster is, the higher the score will be, so it'll be closer to 1, and the more spread out it is, as you can see in the bottom graph, then the score will be closer to -1. And we can use the density of the clusters to evaluate a model. And maybe we can also use other validation techniques that are out there right now. So
Like what part of the song kind of like helps to determine like if one song is similar to another?
measurements that I also didn't really understand why they would use that, or if that sort of measurement even existed. But some of the common ones that I saw throughout different projects were like tempo, how often the bass or like the treble is played, the intensity of the music, how loud and energetic it is, how much you can dance to it. So certain measures like that. I think there's
Hey, Edward, we can't hear right now. Hey, we still can't hear you, but we can tell you're in the camera. Yeah, still can't hear you.
Sorry,
I
sorry.
know you're trying.
We're sorting
Okay,
out.
now-
Vlad
it,
got
got it.
kicked out of his
Yeah,
meeting. So let me share.
got it. Yeah, we can hear
Let me
you.
let me invite him really quickly.
Maybe I can reach you.
Okay, I'll send an invite link to. Okay, I just sent the Zoom link on the office chat. That's funny.
We're back. All right.
Yeah. Can you post it on?
Can you?
It did also affect the YouTube recording, I think. So maybe just if you guys could quickly recap anything discussed in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah. No, I don't think he missed anything. Like, I think he just finished the presentation.
Okay.
And then we just, like, he was basically answering a question that I had.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay. Which was, I think, like time commitment, and he said it's like 6 hours. So yeah, if you have like, if you're interested in this project, he expects like around 5 to 6 hours a week. And what else did I say? I just asked about like what, it was like a general question about like what makes songs cluster with another, like what properties of a song would have it be similar, and he just gave a pretty interesting answer actually. But thank you, Luke, for that. So yeah, so what I was saying before was the project proposal I showed last week was more supposed to be like a sample. I wasn't actually looking to propose it, but I think someone said they were interested. So, so I think what I'll do is, just in case maybe people are interested in picking it up on their own, I could give like a quick recap of it. And I don't know if I'll personally be involved because I wasn't planning on doing it, but let me give another recap. So again, this is kind of unpolished because I think this wasn't a real project proposal. I was planning on just showing it as a sample for everybody. But yeah, I mean, if enough people are interested, I would need to do more research on it because I haven't referenced. I need to look at more research papers to see because it's kind of, I think it's pretty state of the art stuff. But let me so yeah, it's a sample project. It's not a real one. But if people are interested, because again, I think someone. If enough people are interested, I guess I could be open to actually doing it. But a quick recap for people who missed last week. Basically, preventive maintenance is to basically help detect whether there's problems with machines, so other devices. And it's a really big field, especially in the automation space. So basically, as we move more into automation in manufacturing and other factors, maintenance is going to be a big part of that. So basically, the idea is like these devices would help detect based on analog data whether there's a problem with the device. So kind of keep it simple, the thing would be like the device health. One factor could be like heat, right? So the sensor that detects the temperature of the input device would detect that the temperature is outside of the parameters. Maybe it's too hot or too cold. So based on that data, it would be able to give a warning that this machine has a problem. And this is basically going to use machine learning to kind of be more complicated than that, right? So like that's a very simple example of like if something's too hot, too cold. But as these machines get more elaborate, there's going to be a lot more conditions that you need to consider to kind of see what kind of problems the machine might have. So yeah, what is preventative maintenance? So there's two different fields. The one that's really the one that's normal is preventative maintenance. This is more of like a logistical concept where basically you take steps in like the workplace to basically have periodic checkups, just like for example doctor's visit. So you get like you don't necessarily know if you have something wrong with you health wise, but you get a checkup every year or every 6 months to see if there's any possible problems you might have, so that it prevents a problem that you might have from becoming more serious, right? Like for example, if you detect a tumor, then you can ideally hopefully find it early, then there's a good chance of you addressing it much easily and much lower cost than later. Predictive maintenance is more of like a real-time factor where basically it's gonna instead of having it so that you're doing periodic checkups, it's providing real-time updates so that as soon as there's something wrong with the machine or you, they'll be able to give a warning. So it's kind of like as soon as you have a problem, it's basically like a doctor who's being able to check you up every second, right? So it's like as soon as you have a problem, the doctor's like, oh, there's a problem. It's like a robot doctor that's able to tell that something's wrong right away. So yeah, the problem is really relevant to industries, especially I think Amazon's been doing a lot of investment in this space because as you probably know, a lot of their factories involve a lot of automated devices. So what they're really interested in is automating that process of basically automating that maintenance checkup process, because currently, because they have so much of these automations integrated into their factories, the process of maintenance is very expensive. So if there's a way for them to automate that, that'd be a very big convenience. So one of the ideas that the people are looking at are something called preventive maintenance drones. So these drones would basically go around and do the job that a person would do, which is basically detect any problems they might have with the machine. But I think drones probably So I think, I don't know if I showed you in this previous picture, but outdoor maintenance drones are actually very, very common already. So these are drones that are able to detect problems with devices, for example, like power lines in areas that are really difficult to reach. So really remote areas or dangerous areas that a person would not be able to get to easily. But indoor preventive maintenance is currently a field that's being, that has a lot, it's obviously a lot more complicated because first of all, you have to consider the problems of safety, right? There's going to be people working indoors. It's not as remote. So you have to consider their safety into account, as well as other conditions in the work environment. And this kind of research or product is very of high interest of companies where the cost of failure is basically unacceptable, right? No matter how much I guess money you put into maintenance, it doesn't matter because as soon as one thing fails, it ruins the whole thing. For example, I think like assembly lines in car assembly, that's a very common application. For example, I think there was news recently about how I think Tesla, they at one point got one of their machines that stopped working and it basically shut down the entire assembly line. So that's an example of a failure that basically is too high to ignore. So it would, having an automated process to this would be beneficial not only in terms of saving costs, but in terms of accuracy. So the methodology, technically, again, this is a really rough draft, was basically use the research that was done on outdoor maintenance drones to apply to indoor maintenance. Again, I think to keep it simple, it's probably not going to be a drone. It'll probably just be like a sensor device with like an FPGA. And basically the FPGA, which is like a field programmable gate array, is basically like a small computer that you would load the neural network into in order to train it to detect what problems it might have. And that analog sensor data would be turned into digital using an analog to digital converter. So this is there's going to be a big hardware component if anyone picks this up. So the part one is to see whether the edge computer, the FPGA, can perform the task proficiently. So see how well does the neural network inference. And then secondly, see how well the analog to digital conversion works to see whether the input data would be successful for whatever you need. So again, I don't think this is happening from my end. If anyone wants to do this on their own, they're free to. But if there's enough members, I might end up. I think I could get involved as well. Does anyone have any questions?
Did you find the data sets?
Yeah. So again, like this was like what is it called? This was something I just dropped on the spot. But I think presumably if I have to look for data sets, it would be tied to the research papers on the outdoor maintenance drones. So ideally, I would be able to find some data from outdoor maintenance and then hopefully see whether that's applicable to the indoor preventive maintenance. Yeah.
Aren't there some research papers on the green manufacturing side? Machine learning?
Sorry?
There are some research papers on the lean and green manufacturing.
Yeah.
In maintenance indoors, so there are research papers on different data sets.
Yeah.
Most likely they're using computer vision and CNN.
Yeah. So for people who on the Zoom, they're basically saying there's a lot of there are research papers on CNNs and computer vision that basically tackle this problem. So there will be data if anyone's interested in using it. Also, I think there was one more person who came up with a project proposal. Let me see if that person is here.
It was the YouTube ad block.
YouTube ad blocking.
Was it on a website?
It was on the spreadsheet. But
Yeah. So I think someone added that.
yeah, it would mute like ads.
Yeah, I believe Priyanka did.
Yeah, Priyanka. I think Priyanka.
Hi, this is Priyanka. Yes, I did it, but I don't have the presentation ready.
That's okay. You don't have to have slides. I think
Okay.
I would really appreciate if you can still share it, just so everyone here gets an idea of the type of project that you might.
Yeah.
For example, let's say if they're really interested in what you're working on.
Okay, so I'll just give an overview of what it's essentially trying to achieve. Basically, the idea is to automatically mute either be it on television or YouTube or any other streaming platform where you get ads. So when a stream of video is running, it should be able to identify when a particular advertisement is being played and mute it. This has been earlier done by someone, but what they did was they were looking for the logo of a particular channel which was being displayed, and previously the logo would disappear when an advertisement was being played. So it was done in that way, but now even when the advertisements are being played, you have either the channel logo or other stuff related to it, so you can't essentially use that at the moment. So either and
Priyanka, are you there?
I can't hear you if you're speaking.
Priyanka, I don't think we can hear you.
She might have dropped out.
It might be us too.
Oh yeah, I don't see her.
Did she drop? Can anyone confirm whether she dropped?
Oh wait.
Okay, yeah, it looks like Priyanka dropped. So we can wait for her to come back. I guess any second. But, maybe we can message. I personally just want to say I think that's a great idea. And this honestly, I actually absolutely, as soon as she described it, I actually thought that was really smart, really cool. And I think it's actually a great great project for like a 1 semester project. I think it's like the perfect amount of work, and I think you'll learn a lot. So yeah, she said so I think she just messaged us saying I think her laptop is run out of battery, so she'll be back soon.
All right.
But yeah, I think that's actually a great idea, and I think yeah, anyone who's interested, they should look into that, because I think that's honestly so smart. I didn't even think about it. That's like a great, really clear idea of implementing computer vision implementation. Okay, yeah, I think while we're waiting also, another thing I wanted to let people know is if you are interested, if you already know what project team you want to join, we still haven't gone over everybody. We're just waiting for Priyanka right now. But if you already know what project team you're interested in, this Google Sheet, I think, is under announcements. So look under announcements and look for project proposals. Just add your name to the signups for this project. So for example, if I'm interested in Dimitri's project, I'll just write my name here. And oh, that's another one. Okay, so basically, yeah, if you already know, just add your name to it. Again, this is under announcements, and I think another we'll give you time to ask whatever project leads that you want, any questions or any clarifications that you might want. But this is under announcements, so you just add yourself to it, and we'll also keep in mind that we will have, I mean, I guess everyone here is basically a project member at this point, but we will verify that all of you are project members. So I think for anyone who's not a project member yet, we will get to you and talk to you and help you out in your trial project, but you can't join the project team this year. Yeah.
Hey, welcome back.
Is she here? Oh, Priyanka, welcome. Yeah, so sorry, we were just, I guess, filling time until you're able to expand a little, elaborate. But yeah, I think you already have interest on your project. Did you have anything more you wanted to say?
Actually, no. It's
Okay.
more of an exploration phase. I haven't.
Okay, no, no, honestly, I think it's really brilliant. I think it's a great example of like a one semester computer vision implementation project. I think that's awesome, really cool, very straightforward, and I'm very excited for that one as well.
Yeah.
You have a question for her?
Oh yeah. Do you think it would be possible to add like using computer vision to exit out of the advertisement or pressing skip? Would that be doable in the time frame that you want to do this in?
Were you able to hear that, Priyanka?
I could barely hear it.
Okay, so I can repeat it. So Luke asked if it's possible instead of using it to also be able to somehow skip it, like click the skip button.
Okay. Yeah. Sure, that as well. But when I was thinking about it, I was considering it both for audio and video, like in Spotify as well, you get advertisements. So something that is dynamic and that is not related. That is not trained on a set of brand names or something, because new brands keep popping up, but we should be able to identify the change in the video and the advertisement itself, rather than relying on the brands and stuff.
Yeah, really cool. Well, what's your expectation for time commitment for anyone interested? Per week?
I'm not sure. Maybe 3 to 4 hours a week.
Okay.
It also depends on their availability. So
Yes.
it's flexible. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, one more thing we want to I think we should add is almost every project team we've had in the past do end up having a separate meeting outside of club hours. So we will get into it in a later slide, but I think that would be a great idea for you to include as well. Just try to find create like a when to meet and create like a separate project meeting outside of our club meeting, so that you guys can, I guess, just assign more tasks or get more updates just to help the progress of the project. Okay, yeah, thank you, Priyanka, for sharing. Is there anyone else with a new project proposal that they'd like to share? Again, it could be, you don't necessarily have to have slides ready. It would be beneficial, but the most important thing is making sure you present all of them today. Okay, in that case, I just wanted to make it clear that those are new projects. So that's a great opportunity if you want to start off, but there's also ongoing projects. So these are projects that are already gone up and running. So there's already some progress made. So there might be some catch up, but at the same time, it also means that there's like a flow already going on. So it's like, there's not that startup difficulty that comes with a lot of new projects. So yeah, I think we can go ahead and start off with, this one's a new one, again, to make that clear. This is a Feed Me a Job by Gotham and Ani. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Sure.
On this part?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a download.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Gautam, and I just recently started this project called Feed Me a Job. The idea of this is basically to be a job search engine. So as you all know, like, how hard is it to apply for a job and go through each and every job portal and each and every job description, and then you upload your resume and then you apply for a job. So we basically want to simplify the entire process by integrating all the job search engine database into one search engine, like connect all LinkedIn, Indeed, and other job portals, and then we want to use machine learning in such a way where you can upload your resume, and using machine learning, it's going to parse in the information and try to do a job matching based on your resume. and give you a relevant result, and then it could apply on your behalf. So rather than you go and apply on every job description or job result. So as mentioned, problem is just like either young professional or any student, they have no idea of what job they want to go over, or like based on their experience, which jobs they want to apply. So using our job matching, we just want to provide a proper one unique search engine, so that way you could reduce your time. And our stakeholders for this project, or otherwise the product, is universities, or in other words community colleges, because that's the starting point where like freshers, or like newcomers have hard time applying for a job or finding a job. So we are currently reaching out to community colleges to understand better what would help their student, or how this product would be at their use case. So I mean, as for the team size, this is just the slides are actually were presented to an investor, so this is not our exact team size. I would say this is just who all were part of the initial stage of this project. And, so besides that, we also want to expand our product into also including an option called search coach. So this is how the process would go. First is it would capture all the job database using web scraping at the moment from different job sites, and we upload it on our end, and then we use machine learning, which is nothing but NLP, to match over each and every job description in your resume. And then we use a skill extraction to extract your skills from resume, and then search coach. This is something that we wanted to add on to it. Basically, the idea of search coach is to give you a tailored set of courses or university modules to land a job, or increase your chances of getting a job. So it would give you a recommendation on what courses you might want to take to have a higher chance of getting a job. No, currently we have built a simple prototype of where we could parse our resume, and we could also do a word-to-word matching using a skill set database that we found on the web. But eventually, we actually want to expand our skill set database by training our model in such a way that it could match even how to say synonyms, or like similar types of skill sets. What I mean is, for example, imagine a job description says that you want to have a skill set of Microsoft Excel, but in the resume it says I have a skill set of Google Sheets. It has to still give you the results, because Google Sheets and Excel is, I mean, it's not much different, right? It's the same software ultimately. So that's the idea. So we are just splitting our this is our timeline for our project. So we currently kind of finished the stage one, which is a simple demo of where a resume is parsed into, and it kind of does a word-to-word matching by making a comparison with the skill set database that we found on the net. And as for the job description, we actually did a simple scraping from Indeed and saved it in a JSON file. And basically, the skill sets mentioned in the job description and the skill sets in the resume, they both communicate with the skill set one common skill set database, and then it gives you the matching score at the moment. And our stage two, which we are currently just reaching out to universities to understand better and improve the product, because we want to, beyond the project, we just want to make it into a potential product, because it's been a known issue for a long time that companies could have probably chosen to solve it, like LinkedIn, for instance. If you know that LinkedIn has its own job matching score for premium version, where it gives you a score based on what skills you enter in the skills section. So it literally does a word-to-word matching, which we want to get over it. And our stage 3 is like release a alpha version to just limited number of stakeholders like universities. And our last stage is going live with the beta version. So currently, like we have approach to this startup accelerator program called Y Combinator to seek funding for this project. We are hoping to hear back by November first week, I hope. But besides that, we also like kind of shared, we just did a small pitch deck with a couple of investors who are interested and who got our reference through a couple of university career centers where we pitched in this. So yeah, so that's where we are. And that's pretty much it. The email is genuine, but the website is not. It's still under construction. So yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
If you have any questions, please. I can post this on the general.
Yeah. Again, what's great about Gotham's project is he has like a monetization angle on it, which I think most of our projects don't have. So he's like whenever he comes up with a project idea or proposal, he comes up with how can this become an actual product that's of value to people, like that people would pay money for. So and they've actually been reaching out to I think accelerators and like potential investors. So that's like a great. I think that's great because yeah, it shows that when you have like an angle at a product that provides actual value, I think that also looks really impressive as when you build your resume. There's really clear quantitative stuff you can include, right? Like raise this amount or release this to X amount of investors or stuff like that. So that's what when the companies look for your resume, that's what really impresses them when you have like actual quantitative numbers, like improved efficiency of this by 5% or 20%. Having those numbers shows impact. So that's a really easy way to show that. That's really good for his project idea. Yeah, I think there's one more for Vlad, right? Yeah.
We'll try to keep it short, and it's not too long anyways. So. Is that here? That's the one. It's not drone object nav, but just object nav. It was the idea last semester to go drone, but it turned out that the scope of the project is quite wide already, so we have enough to do with that. What's object nav? Object nav is this challenge by Facebook where you have an agent, a robot agent that can navigate inside indoors environment, and it has to locate, automatically map the environment and navigate to a specified class of an object. So basically you provide with a class like robot find a chair or a TV, and starting from a random point in a house indoor environment that it never has seen before, it's supposed to map out the environment and go to it. It's considered to be success if it's stopped from like within the meter from an object or something like that. Why do we care about that? Simply robots that can do like help to like elderly people, like navigate within the place that, well, environment may dynamically change. Like imagine it's okay, you will probably know the environment most of the time, but maybe sometimes like somebody closed the door or something. The environment has dynamically changed, you need to find a new route. Or finding people among like debris after like natural disasters, stuff like that. It turns out that there's a lot of data for like specifically 3D environments. So that's one reason why the project is like that. What we're using is this huge data set of 3D environments. As I mentioned, the data is quite abundant there. it has the format is basically the 3D map and a bunch of objects, which is quite useful because you can easily map them to create semantic maps or depth maps, since it's a virtual environment. So what we usually use in the real life is not just we're trying to understand the depth in order to map to create the actual 3D map. And the semantic map is something that we can use to actually like locate and navigate the object of interest that we're looking at. So as a part of this project, several things that we're looking at is SLAM. That's a smart locomotion and localization and mapping. Basically creating the map. This is a well-known robotics problem where you create the map as you go and trying to basically create the 3D map. That's one piece of theory. Then Habitat is the framework and the set of like libraries that we're using and that Facebook provides for this specific challenge for us to use. That includes the simulator and basically the simulator. Also some reinforcement learning frameworks that can simplify the job of creating the reinforcement learning pipeline. So generating rewards for getting close to object and things like that. So that's one of the other tools. Finally, Active Neural SLAM is the actual paper approach that solves and tackles that challenge. Obviously, this is the problem of navigating to an object and like mapping environment is a very, very big task. So we're limiting the scope to re-implementing the paper of the last year's winners, basically, that Active Neural SLAM. And these guys have the paper along with the code. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to understand the algorithm that their algorithm and re-implement it. And let's see. Yeah, I think that's mostly for the approach. For the training and evaluation, we will try to train the model with the parameters and specifications that these guys did in Active Neural SLAM. And so we're going to utilize some cloud computing, probably AWS or whatever we'll find the free cloud resources, cloud hours. Yeah, for both training and evaluation have to be done on cloud. Basically, there's even just trying to start a basic script on the laptop will freeze it for me. So that's one thing that needs to be done. For evaluation, basically, the way we know that the agent is successful is whether it has stopped within some close distance to the object or not. So when we get the agent to that state, we know that we're successful. For some of the tools, and I don't list them here, but basically what we're using is Docker provided to be like basically a must-have, because installing the Habitat simulation and their other libraries provided to be virtually impossible without just the complete ready like Docker environment. It's doable, but that saves a lot of time. So Docker definitely. GitHub for tracking the status. One thing that I've tried with my previous project was ZenHub, and that it was quite helpful to track the current tasks. Yeah, let's see. Did I miss anything? I think, yeah, right now for the amount of hours I would expect for people to put in, I think that about from 4 to 5 hours a week would be, at minimum, would be like one number that would make it possible to do some sort of progress, basically, on the project, I would say. And let's see. Yeah, that's mostly it. Are there any questions?
How much do you have to catch up? Like, how much progress are you making?
We have, what we've done, basically, we've went over the paper and understood the like robotics like part of it, but there's actually not much on the implementation part. So you will still need to look through how to use Habitat and basically go through some tutorials there. But there's not too much catching up to do, actually.
Anyone else here or on the Zoom have any questions?
Yep. Yes, reinforcement learning is a part of it. Yeah, we're utilizing computer vision, namely semantic segmentation part. Well, since we're doing the virtual simulation, the semantic segmentation model, we don't need to train it, it can already be provided to you. So there is an option. If we want to do the real world at some point, we'll need to do semantic segmentation. But for now, the scope is limited and we can just use that. And reinforcement learning is part of it. Yep. Any question? Let me see on the chat. Yeah, chat. Yeah, I don't see any.
Yeah, looks like people.
Yeah, we're.
I guess we're out. Yeah, I think one more thing that I wanted to let people know is before we leave, we were going to do like a talk to project leads about the project, so that if you have any questions, but I don't think we have time for that. What you can do is you can message the project lead specifically for any questions you might have before you decide. But ideally, we would like you to be assigned to a project or come up with your own project by the end before next week's meeting, so that we're all ready when we're done. Yeah, was that the final slide?
Yeah.
Okay. Also, one more thing is one I think really important skill that's important is GitHub, right? So everyone should have a GitHub. Make a GitHub account. And one thing that I kind of want to make it clear is I don't know, I guess under the project section, you should be able to, I don't know if I'm going to start posting on projects for general, but I think what we're going to do is we're going to probably have like a pinned messages. If you're not sure what pinned messages are, you just click here. And this is going to have all the messages that are really important that's going to be stuck here, so that you always have it available no matter where we're at. But I think one of the things that we might do here is create like a to-do list for every project member. So for example, things that we think every project member should understand. So one of the most important things is GitHub, right? You should all have a GitHub account, create one if you don't have one yet. And then I think what everyone should do if they don't have any experience with GitHub, what we'll do is I might post some resources as a pinned message for you to be able to pick some of that stuff up, because it'll save some time, right? Because what will end up happening probably is like the people who don't have experience with GitHub will probably end up having to learn that through the project team anyway. And it'll save a lot of time if everyone kind of is up to speed on that already. And I think ZenHub would also be really helpful for integration and like project management because it's integrated with GitHub. So I'll post those resources on the pinned messages on projects so that everyone kind of can spend their own time to kind of familiarize themselves with these two. And then what we might do is, I'm not sure yet, but we might spend some time doing like a Docker workshop as well, based on material that we've had in previous semesters. So that, because it looks like there are multiple projects that are looking to use Docker as well. So yeah, does anyone else have any questions before I kind of I kind of want to quickly end it before we lose too many members. Looks like there's some people in the
Yeah, just a quick thing to note. If you have stuck around and you are still not a full project member, shout out to you. Also, you should you can totally reach out to us, any of the officers, or in trial project help if you're still working on the trial project.
I think everyone's here. I think everyone here.
I think everyone here is, yeah. If they're still in this meeting, I'd be very surprised if they weren't. But if you are, don't
Yeah.
feel bashful. Please,
You
please.
can also stick around too, and we can help you out.
Yeah. Also, for the project leads, if people reach out to you, we kind of will get to that, I think, next week as well. But you should start thinking about when you would want to have your project meeting times.
Yeah, I think
using a when to
it'll
meet
be-
would be helpful.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think one thing we have is like a when to meet link. So that'll help. Like, you can send that to all your project members, and then they can give their availabilities, and you can figure out a time when everyone's available. And one more thing is, sorry, I think Dimitri, you had a question.
Yeah, I have a good question about transportation and state
Uh-huh.
and stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, should I ask it right now?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so like, if I would love to have some.
To go, but you need like transportation.
Yeah,
Do you live close to school?
yeah, I live like nearby.
Okay, yeah, if you live nearby, I think you could just maybe like meet us in the school. One of the officers at the school, then we could give you a ride. We'll figure out parking and all that. I'll ask. Was there anyone on the list who signed up for the 49ers who can't make it this Sunday? Because I think that list was originally for people who said they can make it the last Sunday, but not necessarily next Sunday. I'm just so surprised that we have like 14 people. It's a lot. I'm not sure if we're gonna actually get 14 people over, but if we could, that'd actually be amazing. So, yeah, because like we don't have 14 people here, so it would just be shocking to have more people there than we have in a regular meeting. So, yeah, I'm excited. Anyone else have any questions on the Zoom? Or here? Anyone here?
I have a quick question. Yeah, because if I don't have a background about like IoT or computer vision, I don't know. Can I also choose the project that contains that skills?
Yeah. I think the whole point of you completing the trial project or having completed a class is you have some prerequisite knowledge, but at the end of the day, we're always trying to be very beginner friendly. And as long as you have the interest in computer vision, I think you're totally welcome to join the project. It's just sometimes the only problem is if maybe the project lead has expectations for the amount of time commitment that you might not have. That's the only thing that might be an issue. But as long as the time commitment is there between you and the project lead, I think that your experience level shouldn't be a problem. We always try to be really open about everything because again, this is also like a mixture of undergrads and graduate students. So it's like we understand there's a wide variety of experience levels. So we don't want that to limit anybody from being a part of any project team that they want to join.
Okay,
So
thank you.
Whatever. If I know all of us are project members, so that means that you should feel free to join what project you want to join.
Got it.
And to clarify, we can still like pitch a project idea next week, and that's the last week we can do it.
Yeah, you can. I think that would work. Yeah, that's fine. And then I guess people could switch to your project if they like yours. I mean, maybe I should clarify my project too if there is interest as well. So, but hopefully, like the focus of next meeting shouldn't be that. It should be more like we'll go into like a first project meeting. So we can still do the pitches, but it shouldn't take up the whole meeting.
Okay, yeah, because I didn't really like too many project pitches today.
Okay.
But I do have an idea of one, but I don't know if we can do it because it involves like cheating a game system.
Okay.
Right.
I mean, you'll have to go more in detail on like what that means, but yeah, I think as long as it's not, I don't know if it's like unethical or illegal, but I think maybe maybe you should explain it to me a little bit before you present it next week, just so we sort everything out.
There's some slides on there.
Yeah, can I DM you the idea?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, just send me the idea. All right, anyone else? Okay, in that case, I think we'll stop it here. Thanks everyone for coming. I know we ran a little bit over time, but I'm so happy because we had such great project proposals all around. So thank you everyone for coming.